All right, today's episode on Tequila Forever Tequila, Hacienda Vieja. So check it out. Here I have the reposado. Now this bad boy is coming out of NOW number 1412 down in Arandas, Jalisco. Now this is produced in Destiladora de los Altos. There's a lot of history with this brand and its original founder, going back since the early 1970s with a man named Don Felix Pañuelos, the original creator of Tequila Cazadores. But before he created Tequila Cazadores, he was actually producing tequila for other well-known established brands in the area. And then in 1973, he decided to do his own thing, right? So he started another small little production. And that's when, of course, Tequila Cazadores was born. A well-known established brand. At the time, it started to pick up a lot of popularity, a lot of fame. People started talking. It was only produced in Mexico at first, and it came out first at the reposado. And I think when he first started, he was producing about 300 liters a day. And then, of course, the popularity and the demand grew. He built another distillery. So by 1999, he was producing 48,000 liters daily. So that's actually a really great improvement. In 2002, he was recognized for being the founder of one of the most respected distilleries in Mexico. And also, he was recognized for having the fifth greatest tequila of all Mexico también, And all this caught the attention of Bacardi, which became interested in purchasing the brand. So they worked up a deal, and, I think sometime in April of 2002, it was finalized, and that was that. The first thing they did was strip out whatever they had in the distillery and then had diffusers installed. So that has, of course, changed the flavors forever, So it's not the same product that, we have today. Anyways, immediately after the brand was sold, Don Felix Pañuelos' sons, I think maybe like 3 or 4 of them, they got together and they wanted to continue the legacy. So they asked their father for the authorization of, being able to produce tequila, continue the family legacy. And he said yes. And of course, he went on to help them. So what they did is that they opened up the original distillery where Cazadores was born. So remember I said that they sold the new distillery along with the brand, but they kept the old one, fixed it up. They extended, I think, where they had the barrel storage and then some of the distillations, right? They extended a little bit of the distillery, but they opened it up, and they got back to work immediately. And then in 2005, Tequila Hacienda was born. Now, there were some agreements prior to Bacardi purchasing the brand. One is that the family cannot acknowledge that they had anything to do with the brand Cazadores. So if you look on their website for this tequila, you'll see that they talk about, decades of history of producing tequila. But, they make it seem like everything they did was to create this tequila brand. Like they took all these years to perfect this. When in fact it's not like that. But of course, like I said, they weren't able to talk about, the brand. So when this brand first came out, it started as a reposado, And then the second agreement that they had was they are not to produce una tequila 100% de agave for like the next 5 years or so. So when it first came out, I heard this was a mixto. But instead of being like a regular mixto where it's 51, percent the agave and then the other 49% of other sugars or whatever, they decided to do like a 70-30 blend, And it actually, got the whole town buzzing. They were talking about it. I guess they were saying, el señor de los cazadores, or the guy who created Cazadores is back, ya regresado. And he started, making tequila again. So I started picking up a buzz down in Mexico, and then finally, 2007 or 2008 sometime, it finally became 100% the agave. And then people started doing comparisons, right? And some people that were trying it, when they were hearing that it was Felix Pañuelos or the original creator of Cazadores, and they started tasting and doing comparisons, they said that this tastes exactly the same like Tequila Cazadores. And that's actually a rumor that this is the original recipes of Tequila Cazadores. Now, if you ask yourself, how are they able to get away with that? Simple. As I mentioned earlier, when Bacardi purchased the brand, And the new distillery, they took everything out, installed diffusers. So there's no way that the two brands could ever taste the same, you know? And that's how they get away with that. Now, is that true? I don't know, but I have seen this brand before many times. I really like the style of it, the way it looks. And then también me gusta que it has the canica in here and everything, you know? I don't know if the newer ones do. This bottle right here is from 2012. I had one from 2010. And I wish I had something more current, newer. You know, because the flavor slightly changed, right, when you have an artisanal product. But this is what I found, so this is what I got, you know. So anyways, what was I saying? With this brand right here, you know, the way I heard of it was, well, I had seen it, like I said, but I like the way it looks. It looked really old, right, look classic. But I always chose some other brands over it. And then, you know, me and a good friend of mine, he's an older man from Jalisco. We were talking one day about tequila, and then he told me about Hacienda Vieja. And I was like, you know, I think I actually seen that brand. And he was like, yeah, like I remember when I tried it years ago. It was really good. And he goes, in my town, everybody was talking about, you know, that it was the guy who made Cazadores. And then that's when I first looked it up, and I didn't find any information about, you know, the Cazadores, you know. When I see the Manduelos family, it didn't click to me at the time that when I made a video before, you know, with the El Mexicano Tequila, right, being the same family, the original creators of Cazadores, it didn't click to me, you know, putting those two together, like, shit, it's the same family, you know, like Mexicano Tequila, for whatever reason at the moment, you know. But anyways, you know, I started checking it out, and he was just, you know, we were talking about it, and he was like, yeah, you know, a lot of people say that it's the Cazadores Tequila, you know, in my town, everybody's saying that it's this the same tequila, you know. And I was like, do you remember? And he's like, I don't remember what they taste like, but all I can tell you that it was really good. So anyways, this product here runs about $18 to $24, you know, so it's actually at a really good price. And if we take a look at the color here, this is like a nice straw yellow. I think this is rested for 3 months, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the original Cazadores was also resting around the same amount of time, you know. And then here I got it poured in my glass también, so you guys can take a look at that. It's a nice straw yellow. Okay, so in this tequila, what I'm picking up is, you know, a little bit of light oak, some vanilla. There is some vegetable notes in there. Very light caramel. What I said, there's a little bit of cinnamon, and there's also some smoke. A little bit of earthy tones, and then in the far back, I can also smell a little bit of pepper. It actually has a really nice nose to it. It has a really nice nose. It's not my first sip of the day either. But the mouthfeel on this tequila, it's a little bit light, you know, it's silky, it's a little light, but it's not bad, you know. It does have a little bit of heat to it. Now on the flavors, definitely do get like some caramelized agave. There's a little pinch of smoke. You know, I do get a little bit of like anise in there. There's the pepper. Light vanilla, some earth tones in there. Let's say that this tequila actually, you know, tastes really good. Personally, I like it, and I'm gonna recommend it. You know, I think it's really good actually, especially for the price. You know, definitely another budget tequila. I would give this like an 86 to an 87. You know. And if this is what the original Cazadores tasted like, then I can see why a lot of people, you know, liked it. Especially considering that back in the day, there weren't many tequilas 100% de agave. There weren't that many 100% tequilas de agave. They existed, but there weren't many out there, you know. But it's a good tequila, you know. I like it. Like I said, I think 86 to 87, you know. But I definitely think that you can't go wrong with this tequila. It's definitely a very good tequila. There's a lot of history. They definitely know what they're doing. So, and if you guys try this tequila, go ahead and put it in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, or if you guys looking to purchase. I think on this tequila, there's a blanco, reposado, and then the cristalino. They used to make the añejo. I don't think they make it anymore, but I know they're still available. So, you know, if you guys want to know what the Cazadores taste like in blanco, añejo, or cristalino, well, there you have it. So last thing I want to say before I end the video is R.I.P. to el señor Felix Bañuelos. I think he passed away in 2022 or 2023. You know, I see him here on the bottle. Definitely a legend in the game. Salud.